Ubisoft's new IP Skull and Bones is a lot better than I thought it would be, but that does not mean it's good. Or at least I can't say it is quite yet. When it was first revealed, I thought, this is not gonna work out long term. It will be fun for 2-3 hours, and then the gameplay will just consist of randomized but similar quests, etc. We've seen this issue with a lot of multiplayer games lately, most notably Skull and Bones' cousin Sea of Thieves, which was praised for how fun it was, yet no one barely plays it anymore. Same with last year's hit Friday the 13th, which people loved for 2 weeks and then realized there was nothing more to that gameplay they experienced during those first days after release. As well as the complete failure that was No Man's Sky. That is the one thing a lot of games lately have lacked, and in my opinion, extremely important to a successful game: replayability. And two things that also counts into replayability is space for creativity as well as stability. Yes, games might be amazing for a few hours, but the game won't last if the next hours are just the same as the first ones. I might do a full video on the importance of replayability, but for now let's just leave it at that. Let's talk about Skull and Bones and my concerns about it. Now, we're around a full year from Skull and Bones' official release, so there might be a lot of changes made to what I will be talking about here, but let's begin. As the demo started off, we were greeted by a fortune teller, which described how the current day is going to play out. The fortune for the demo was favorable winds, which meant strong winds and lots of merchants carrying a ton of loot. Here we already see an effort trying to make sure that every gameplay session won't be exactly the same as the last one, and hopefully in the final product we'll see more depth to this system other than just winds and how many merchants there are. The next thing you'll encounter is choosing your ship. In the demo there were 3 different ships to choose from, all with their own special abilities. The Black Horn is a fast ship that had access to a charging hammer as well as frontal grape shot cannons. The build's design was to chase down ships, ruining their speed by destroying their sails using the grape shot and then ramming them. The Jäger,
you can stop worrying about grenades now.
Was a medium ship, with his special ability being that he could fire lots of cannon shots very fast, dealing a ton of damage in quick succession. The last ship I never had the time to try, but the game guide described the Royal Fortune as a ship that can go into artillery mode, anchoring itself and gaining a big range advantage. I think it's great that they're not going for full realism here, and are instead focusing on more fantasy-styled abilities to make sure the gameplay is fun. However, I'm not too sold on there being set classes with their own unique weapons. The best way would be to allow us players to create our own completely unique ships, customizing our captain, choosing our own ship parts and special abilities, as well as customizing our crew. Now, that might be what's in the game, but nothing of that was seen in the demo. However, this was in the E3 gameplay demo that they showed on the live stream, where you can definitely see them changing out the weapons and crew. They also seem to switch out the wheels and stuff, and I hope that's not just cosmetic only. Just listen to this, Ubisoft. The more power you give to the players to make their own builds and give these steering wheels and hulls different properties that we can play around with and make our own builds, the better. Now, before we get into the demo gameplay, let's talk about one thing it does not have: land exploration. The demo is entirely naval combat, and while the naval combat is fun, the game should not be limited to naval stuff only. In the showcase demo, we saw our captain walking around on the shore, and I'm afraid that's just going to be a hub area before you go out on sea. I do hope we will see us going on land for sword combat as well as digging up treasures. One thing in the demo was that the boarding is just a cutscene, which is really anticlimactic, and it should change in some way. Either by making our player controlled character going on the ship and allowing us to fight, or at least making a hard quick time event so that there's a chance the boarding can fail. As it is now, it's just gonna become tedious after a few hours of gameplay. Combat wise, it was extremely fun. Here you see me using the Black Horn, which is the ramming ship. I damage the sails and then I go in for the ram. But remember, I only played it for 25 minutes and I am not sure how fun it will be doing the same sort of fight over and over again with barely any changes to it. One mechanic you can use in the game is a disguise mechanic, masking your ship as a merchant to be able to sneak next to forts, other ships, and other players like a Trojan horse, which is really cool. All in all, I am excited to see what will happen to this game and in what state it will be released in. There's definitely a lot of potential in it, and I really hope the developers consider what the community wants here. The idea is great, make it last.
Ooh la la, teeny weeny string bikini.